Welcome back to the Circuit Revival, where today we're going to be taking a look at this mechanical keyboard. Now, my other half said she wanted a, in her words, tippy-tappy keyboard, so we figured why not get one for the channel. And then I was a little bit disappointed because this thing turned up and it basically just works. But we found out there is a problem with it. The back key here does not work. All the other keys work absolutely fine. It's just the back key here that doesn't. So what I can do is if I just jump over to a keyboard tester, I can show you how that looks. So as I press a button, you'll see it illuminate on the screen just around here. So if we go through these, you can see them add up and go green. But if I press back, it doesn't do anything. However, what we have found, if we just get the key off, now this is the good thing about mechanical keyboards, is you can move the keys, but please don't do this with a normal one, is it reveals the key itself. But if we push really deep, and then sort of like wiggle, you can see it is working. But if I just tap, it's a bit hit and miss, but sort of down and wiggle works. So what we'll do to try to begin with is if we just zoom in a bit, and what I'm going to do is try just spray some IPA in here and see whether just giving it a bit of a clean out and a bit of a press works. So we'll dump that in and just kind of keep pressing. So far, no difference. So it still only works when rocked. So what we'll do then is we'll try and see if we can get this out. I'm hoping I can kind of see on here some screws. So I think the equipment in here is sort of struggling a bit with the heat because my camera just cut out there. So what I've done is I removed the keycaps because I've seen some screws underneath it. And we'll just remove the last one, which I think is just under the keyboard spacebar here. And we'll just try and leverage this off. And there's the spacebar. See, there's just one last screw just underneath here, so let's get that out. And then I'm hoping it should just lift up after this. Okay, there we go. So here we are inside the keyboard, and the one we're looking at is this top left one here, which it doesn't really stand out much, but the solder job does look slightly different on it compared to the others. So I think what we'll try to start off with maybe is just to try double checking the solder, really. So I'm just going to turn my soldering iron on, and I think we're just going to try and add some fresh solder to this and see if it makes any difference. So we'll just apply a little bit of flux to begin with. We'll just get some fresh solder on this. Okay, one thing I notice immediately with this is I wonder whether maybe it's not actually pushed all the way through, because on this one I can feel the leg of the switch itself, but on the other one I can't feel the leg through the solder hole. So I think that might be where it's not making a very good connection, because there's not enough of the actual switch itself to connect. So I'm just going to take a quick look down the back here and see if I can see whether that solder is joining. I think maybe what we might try and do then is see if we can wick away this solder, and maybe we can try and get the key out and see whether we can see why maybe it's not connecting. Okay, I think we'll make this a bit quicker is if I just use my desoldering gun. And then I'm hoping we might be able to just lift it up or maybe push it back down to make sure that it actually makes that connection. Because I wonder if we can see this here. If I lift this up, you can see just here, there's the leg of the side that is there. But then if we look at the other side, there's nothing there. So I'm wondering whether that's what it is and why that's why it makes a connection when we kind of wiggle it around, because it's pushing it down enough for it to make that connection. So it might be that we need to maybe makeshift an extra length to that leg or something just so it connects. Okay, so whilst this is heating up, I might as well just go through what this is. So it's got like a soldering iron on the end and then sort of like a vacuum pump on the back. So what you can do is then press down onto sort of through-hole components, press the trigger, and it will suck all the solder in. So anyone that does sort of any kind of through-hole soldering, I couldn't recommend this more to. Let's see whether, now that that's undone, does this lift out or anything. So I know that these switches are supposed to be swappable, but I don't know how you would go about that. Okay, I think I can see what the problem has happened here. Okay, so when this switch was installed, the legs are obviously supposed to point downwards. So you say have your two legs point down, but what's happened is where that switch is pressed down, one of them has folded back on itself. So I believe if we can get this out, we should be able to straighten up that leg and then put it back into its location and it'll work absolutely fine. Oh, okay, that's... Okay, so my camera overheated again there, but we can see with a little bit of gentle encouragement I managed to get this out, but you can see now what I mean with just here that leg is sort of bent over. So I think if we can get underneath this and bend it back up without breaking it, the metal fatigue is a thing. Let's see if I've got some pliers that I might be able to get this straightened with. We now should be able to gently persuade this back into place. Hopefully not. I see, I just need to still get a bit more solder out of that hole, which should be a bit easier now that I can get to this side. We should be able to just gently place that back in, reattach this sort of mechanical bit to the side, and then that should be that fixed. Okay, let's just get some solder wick and just try and get this solder out of the hole where the one wasn't quite meeting correctly. There's solder on this side of the hole. Let's see if we can just wick this out. There we go. Hopefully we can gently place this back in without bending that leg back over again. Excellent. Okay, if I try and get this up to the camera, we see, hopefully you can see there. This time there is two things protruding out of it. So we just need to get our soldering iron again, refill those points with solder. Give this a little bit of a clean up. Okay, I just need to try and work out how to get this back on now. Looks like it goes that way up. I think I might need to lift this side up again so that it's pointing upwards, and then hopefully I just slide it on like so. I'm just going to try and force the metal bar up from underneath, because I think it needs to come up a bit so that it's over the end. Okay, I don't think it's that way around because that's not pressing down. Hopefully I've not broken anything. Let's try and see if we can get this back out. Because I don't really want to get the other side out just in case I lose that one before I get a chance to put it back in. Okay, that looks a bit better. Let's try it this way. So we'll get this one back out again so we can angle it up. Okay, let's just try place this cap back on and see whether it's not moving now. Oh no. Okay, that's functioning. Let's get our base back in, get our screws back in whilst we're here. And it goes this way around. I think it needs just dropping straight down. Let's get our screws back in as they're all attached to our screwdriver. So this is where the screws were. As I say, camera cut out last time, so you sort of lost this bit, but there's 6 screws holding this thing in, which is quite nice. Which means that as far as repairability goes, this thing's actually pretty easy to repair. Okay, so let's just get the keycaps back on for this. So we'll start with the backspace and then work our way along. I will say these mechanical keyboards, they are quite satisfying sort of sound wise. Don't know how it translates to the microphone. They just require just a little bit of pressure, those longer ones, just to make sure they sit down flat. So they don't sit up higher than the others. Okay, so that's all together. So let me just get ready to test this out. Okay, so we'll just get our laptop keyboard tester back up. Okay, so we've just got our keyboard tester back up again there. Let's plug this in. Hopefully, to begin with, it still works. Yep, so we get the lights flash around and then it sits on the WASD. Let's jump over to the keyboard test then. We'll start with, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the one that really counts the backspace. Yes, and that works regardless how we do it. So that is fantastically another fix, and it was nice and easy like we hoped. So that means that we can increase our fix to 19. And that makes us another fix. So nice easy one there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.